So he says to a civilian, "Do you know any vloggers?" "No," says the civilian. Neither do I." You'll never get asked that question again. When there's actions speak louder than words, you can only assume a deadline, the date of or the date prior to the date of. Huge difference. This is what in congruent or consecutive consecutive or not congruent. Huge difference. This is what limits and math have to handle, but to understand what a rubber stamp is, and at base level is to not put someone on camera. When someone gets put on cam, it's like a liability. It almost seems that way, because in a world of job security, but not for nothing, when the internet came along and then people started going unhinged, talking on camera, people start scratching their heads when they're nearing what baby boomer age is, in the guise of what's acceptable in the public square. Now, I'm not pointing fingers at someone who is having an overhang onto the sidewalk with their trees, sunflowers, shrubs. I don't care about anyone who might have a fencing that is overriding a sidewalk so that it's skewed, or someone somewhere that has forgotten to put up cones, and where the sidewalk, you can't walk on, and sometimes there isn't a sidewalk, so I can care less about that instance. However, when it comes to me addressing something like, I don't know, I've been vlogging, I think 5 years, 10 minutes of material, a little bit under that on average. The time I interact with people is, of course, put in the start of the video if I don't jump and spin off something pretending to parkour. And Not for Nothing is actually of somewhat of me trying to target not an audience but myself to propel whatever I might have to say, do. When I say do, I mean like position a camera or ask someone to hold my camera, which actually is in my favor. I'd say close to 8 times out of 10 people do hold my camera. So shout outs to the normalcy of the unbiased people who act as tripods to hold my phone. So an ambiguity, this is ominous, minutia, uncertain. These are all things that have to do with like how badly point A to point B may seem, or how good, rather. The difference of the two, we're not like naming names, pointing fingers at any point of time. But when it comes to like yourself outside, and then you would choose to instigate something as if like you're digging, reaching for a plot. There couldn't be anything more clear than like, if you don't have an audience, like, but then someone thinks that you're targeting an audience. And this is why I've escaped from not having prejudices, is from not having a audience. And so that's huge. But finding the sun, you know, when it's the sun at the back of your head, you don't have to squint your eyes because it isn't blaring in them. I could say something that's a little off whim, a little out there. The sun, when I was younger, was yellower. Nowadays and age, the sun's whiter. The atmosphere, I'm saying, is blasted with aluminum and barium salt, making it reflect shinier, so it's whiter. And so if you see my eyes squinting, my eyebrows crushing, it's because I'm looking at the sun when the sun's behind me. It's not the case.
When I'm crossing a sidewalk, if you're running and you have like a huge bandage on your body, cars are more likely to stop
for you, as opposed to if you're walking, they're gonna hug the crosswalk and do a rolling stop towards you. Something that would make the front lines hitting the barbed wire look like this. And isn't this complacency? So if you start running after there's a siren, it's going to look that much more detrimental, suggesting not to do. If you speak on something, it's not for nothing your First Amendment, and then, you know, beyond that is beyond me. The point of which, raising a voice, air quotes, your outside voice, a disclaimer of which before the internet wasn't really spoke on, given the fact cyberspace is taken literal. The difference of the two is the topic of discussion.